You don't see any of the prominent tech hedge funds taking large positions in Tesla anymore. He's clearly focused on Twitter. And this is the problem, right? Like his ego's in play with Twitter. Everyone's saying you're running it wrong. He put that Twitter poll up. I know you guys recorded when the poll went up.
Yeah.
The results are in.
Yeah.
They wanted him out.
Yeah.
He hasn't stepped down.
Well, I think he needs to find a CEO. I bet you if he just came out and said next 90 days there'll be a new CEO, he should step down from Tesla too. Go get a Steve Cook or Tim Cook.
Tim Apple.
Yeah, get a Tim Apple. Shout out to Steve Cook too, but you know, I don't know if he should run
I don't know if
Tesla.
Steve Cook should be running Apple, but he's a very fit guy.
Yeah.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, #1 podcast in the world. We have Anand back in the studio. He's talking about his trip around the world and a wedding he attended. And then we dive into Elon, Tesla stuff. Tesla, the new youngest owner of the NBA team, the Phoenix Suns. Amazing story. We're talking earnings, FedEx, Nike, and apparently Anand thinks real estate's going to collapse.
Yeah.
And it's not for the reason why you think.
Nothing to do with the Fed.
Nothing to do with the Federal Reserve. All right, that and so much more. Let's get into it. All right, everyone, we are back for another episode of Group Chat. Drama's out today. We got Anand back. Anand was gallivanting like low interest rates are just flourishing.
Yeah, I was in Phuket, Thailand for a close friend's wedding. Our friends Karan and Sunaina, they got married. Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
And
what's it like in the other side of the world?
I'll tell you, it was very interesting.
What was the plane like?
Slammed.
Mask?
Fake mask. Like you use it to walk in.
Do you have to wear a mask?
In theory, yes. So we flew Asiana Airlines, which I believe is Korea-based. So the rules were at check-in, they were like, you have to go find a mask to board the plane.
Check-in?
At check-in. So we went, before we boarded the plane, bought some masks. You have to wear it when you walk on.
Boarding, not check-in.
No, when we checked in our bags.
No way.
They told us.
In LA.
In LA, they were like,
well, the whole airport is not wearing masks.
Correct. But they said, once you get on your flight, just know you have to wear a mask. So they gave us those instructions up front. Stupid. And, that's a 13-hour flight.
Yeah.
You're not wearing a mask for 13 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like fake masks. You wear it when you walk on the plane, and then it's open season once you sit in your seat.
Coughing.
Everyone's coughing. Everyone's.
And then so you get to Thailand. What's it like there? Is it still same Thailand that I remember?
Yeah, Thailand was booming. So at immigration, interesting.
Fat Americans everywhere.
Russians everywhere.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, how far is Russia from Thailand?
I think they're just blocked from so much of the world.
Yeah.
They can't travel. They can't come to America. They can't go to Europe.
Yeah.
They can go to Dubai. They can go to Thailand. I'm assuming they're in Bali.
Yeah.
And it was families, Russian families.
Yeah.
Tons of World Cup people, because we could see they had their like credentials, their badges, like souvenirs probably, and like pins.
Like Russians that went to World Cup and said, you know what, we need a little break.
Yeah. I would say in the Thailand immigration, 70% had white skin, and it wasn't Americans.
Wow. The new whites.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was packed.
So Russians were just out there enjoying Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, the wedding took over the hotel, and we really didn't leave the hotel
property
much. But I'm assuming the rest of Thailand was Russians.
Just Russians everywhere. So there wasn't a lot of Americans?
Not that I could tell. Not to be honest. Like,
I guess if you're American, Thailand is not top 5.
And it's so far.
It's so far. And I think you haven't been able to go to Japan.
Right.
You haven't been able to go to Europe. So you're still kind of checking off.
Yeah, you're trying to hit Europe still. I'm sure Europe is still, Europe was 100% Americans when I went in September.
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, everyone's still in Europe.
Yeah.
Like I still see everyone posting from France and this and that.
So the interesting, we had long layovers, and in Seoul, Korea, They were in the airport. There's a line at the Chanel store outside. So Chanel's booming. They were the only ones with a line.
That's insane. They have a lot of Chanel stores in that airport too.
And imagine like you're in transit and you're like,
I need to pick up an $8,000 bag.
yeah, I'm willing to wait in line at an airport.
Maybe that's like a hack to buy there.
I don't know. I think they just really wanted their Chanel.
Chanel. Oh my God.
And then the other interesting thing, so the wedding was a very global wedding. So like the attendees,
it looked all Indian.
yeah, but they all live everywhere.
Got it.
So Singapore, Thailand, Bombay, Hong Kong. And I will say the sentiment I got is very different than what we kind of interpret from the news here, meaning they've dealt with lockdowns, at least from the outside looking in, significantly more severe than any of us have dealt here. But there was no complaining. They were just like, yeah, it's booming now. From all accounts, Singapore is on fire right now. Even the person I met from Hong Kong, he spent 8 weeks in quarantine throughout the last couple of years, because if he left, you have to come back and do, I don't know if it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. Didn't seem to phase him.
Yeah.
And everyone's just happy where they are. So all this, like, I can't believe how they're living over there. From the people I was interacting with, no one.
And
had
also
any-
it's just different. Like, we are really free as fuck.
Yeah.
We can do whatever we want. In other countries, it was never like that. It's not like total freedom.
Yeah.
Say what you want, do what you want, you know, whatever. And so I think inherently, yeah, it felt restrictive, but like it's within the guardrails of how they normally are.
And these are all, for the most part, American-born folks
yeah.
that decided in their early 20s, I want to live abroad and stayed abroad.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I'm not even talking about locals from those countries.
Yeah.
It's like they tasted American freedom and they still don't give a shit that
Yeah.
they're dealing with it in Asia.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you like your life, then.
Yeah. And if career opportunities present themselves, you know, and you're excelling in these various countries,
Yeah.
you're just like, I'll deal with it.
Yeah. If I got to be quarantined for a month to go to Thailand, so be it.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, and man, I was texting Javier, Jordan, and Ari while I was there. I was just like, it's so cheap. You guys
Yeah.
got to go.
I went, you know, I've been to Thailand a lot.
Yeah.
I've been to Southeast Asia a lot. And I used to go because it was so inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I would spend the money on the flight, but like we got to stay in 5-star hotels for $100 a night,
Mm-hmm.
food and drinks, $20,
Oh
whatever you
yeah,
want.
a beer's $2.
Yeah. And like, I've gone to New Year's twice to Thailand. It's crazy. The craziest partying. I went to the full moon party in Koh Phangan. This is probably with Angelo.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't know, 15 years ago. I mean, it was like a war zone of kids just like blacked out. It's basically, imagine Javier's best Saturday night times 10 on steroids every night there.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you're a young person, and I keep telling all the guys in the office, because they're all like kind of sub 25, 26, I'm like, you got to get out there. It's the experiences are so awesome
Yeah.
and they're affordable.
Yeah.
Like, partying at the Victorian versus partying in Phuket,
Yeah.
you're spending a tenth of the money.
10th of the money, way better experience.
And you're getting cultural experience. You're seeing people from all over the world.
yeah.
And the food, oh my God, the food is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't even matter where you go. You can go anywhere and the food's great.
I did go to a terrible Mexican restaurant in Phuket.
Well,
with
you don't
Brian.
go to Mexican
Terrible.
restaurants in Phuket.
It was literally horrendous.
Like, for example, we booked a car to go to the town, just me and Amanda, to have lunch. It was like the only time we could actually leave the hotel where there's no wedding activities. And effectively a Sprinter van shows up, and we booked him for 3 hours and dropped us off right there, showed us where the restaurant was. We walked around, came back. How much do you think that was?
Well, I know. You told
Oh,
me.
he told you.
$35.
$35. And that's with the hotel ripping me off.
Yeah.
So imagine if you just did a private.
Yeah, rich American. I'm going to take him to the cleaners. It was $35.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in my 20s.
And it was a Sprinter van, so we could have fit up 10 people. Everyone could have paid $3.
I found this hack out fucking 20 years ago. I was traveling all of these countries with whomever who would go with me because there's so much, even like going to India and, you know, I went to India for New Year's with Ali and like that was cheap too. Like
the dollar's way stronger now.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is like 30-40% cheaper.
The places you don't want to go to are Europe in the summer. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Europe, off season, hotels are way cheaper, but like going out to eat in Europe is like more expensive than going out to eat in LA. In London and Paris.
Maybe London, not Italy. Italy was very cheap.
Yeah, but London and Paris is insane going out to dinner. But yeah, and then people go to Vegas and blow like fucking...
Yeah, Vegas is the dumbest thing. If you're a young person and you're budgeting your year trips, going to Vegas might be the dumbest thing of all
I would say
time.
Miami too. Miami's so expensive.
Yeah.
Vegas,
you just get on a plane. Who cares? Suck it up.
Yeah. It's not that bad.
No. And especially you're young. Who cares? You didn't sleep. Just go through.
Yeah, whatever. Get hammered and just next thing you wake up, you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big believer in that. I mean, if I didn't have kids right now, I'd be traveling everywhere.
Yeah. No, it was an extremely fun wedding. Our friends, I think we still have some friends out there. They're, you know, Sid Shah's out there listening to the pod right now. I don't know where he's going to be.
Just on the beach doing nothing.
Yeah.
Living the life. Awesome. Well, congratulations on the wedding. Exciting. All right, let's get into some news. You know, the big story still in the news is really around Elon, Twitter, Tesla, all the different things that are happening.
You're saying it his way.
I'm a Tesla guy now.
Tesla.
I did get a DM from a Kathy that said that Elon and Jared Kushner were in the Qatar Investment Authority box.
That's whose box it was?
That's whose box it was. And they didn't come together. They just both were guests they're investors in everything with these guys. But pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Kushner's gotten, I think, $2 billion from MBS. I'm sure Kutcher's giving him
another Billy.
Yeah.
Why not?
And Elon's raising.
Yeah.
There was a Wall Street Journal report while I was traveling. I saw
Friday they sent out the investment memo for Twitter. I mean, why not give him the money? We said it. Like, we have $5 billion. Who cares? It's funny money.
It is funny money, but like, I think there's real concern whether the business is viable the way
he said it's not.
Yeah. So
he's physically said it. On this pace, we're out of business.
Yeah. And Tesla's down, you know, $600 billion in market cap off its highs.
Yeah.
And now you have all the wolves coming out for Tesla saying like, you're getting valued like this technology company, but 95% of your revenue is selling cars.
Yeah.
And 5% is this like EV energy business.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you have to bet on the vision long term. And he had sold that vision pretty well up until recently. I think, look, I think Apple was always valued aggressively and then it became a cash machine.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at Tesla's margins, they're better than any other automaker in the world. So I do believe over time it can live into that valuation. It has the most upside still as a car. It is probably the most demanded vehicle on earth.
You mean given its supply?
Yeah.
Because, you know, all the other automakers are worth sub 100 billion.
Yeah.
And they're still worth 430 billion.
Yeah.
Despite the correction.
I mean, I actually believe the stock is going to get completely clobbered before it goes back up. Like, I think it has to.
I think they're going to get the further growth tech stock treatment.
Yeah.
Meaning they're like, you're going to have to show it to us in earnings.
Yeah.
And you don't see any of the prominent tech hedge funds taking large positions in Tesla anymore.
Yeah.
That was like the in vogue thing to do in 2016, 17, and 18 when everyone was shorting it. I expect a lot of downward pressure because he's tweeting all day. He's clearly focused on Twitter. And this is the problem, right? Like his ego's in play with Twitter.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do about the 44 billion
He doesn't
acquisition.
care about that.
No, he doesn't care. Now it's like everyone's saying you're running it wrong. he put that Twitter poll up. I know you guys recorded when the poll went up.
Yeah.
The results are in.
Yeah.
They wanted him out,
Yeah.
and he hasn't stepped down.
Well, I think he needs to find a CEO. I mean, he should. I bet you if he just came out and said, CEO search, next 90 days, there'll be a new CEO. And I will, he should step down from Tesla too. Go get a Steve Cook or Tim Cook.
Tim Apple.
Yeah, get a Tim Apple. Shout out to Steve Cook too, but I don't know if he should run
I don't know if
Tesla.
Steve Cook should be running Apple, but he's a very fit guy.
Yeah, but why not? Why not have fucking get out? Like, literally get Tesla can live without.
You think
Elon
Tesla's at a point where?
Yes,
What?
I think if everyone just thinks it's an automaker and the best run automaker in the world, go get someone to run it then.
But he's selling a dream that he solved energy.
So I think the foundation of that is there. Look, I was reading an article which I actually believe. Steve Jobs was the innovator of Apple. Tim Cook extracted all the value out of Apple.
Yep.
If Steve Jobs was running Apple today without Tim Cook, I bet you would not be as valuable of a company as is.
Yeah, he might have done the Zuck,
Yeah,
taking a bet like on Meta and stock get clobbered.
exactly. And I think what you need at the size of what Tesla is and now what they're building, he's laid out a pretty big vision. There's people that are better to just execute it. That are executors.
I think from the automaking standpoint, yes, but then you're talking another 70-80% decline in stock market to be with its peers.
No, but like if he figures out like autonomous cars before everybody else, he's the winner.
I think the problem is like it's very different where the iPhone was the monopoly on the premium product of smartphones. Tesla is to a certain extent, but
It's a
everyone has
monopoly on EV.
I don't know. Everyone has electric vehicles now.
I know, but I don't see them yet.
I mean, people drive all the other ones.
Okay, Chevy Bolt is like an Android. Do you want to drive? Like you have the Porsche. That's for the rich. Taycan is not going to be a masses car ever, right? So like, it is the iPhone kind of the electric cars, assuming that.
But I think the brand suffers, whereas Steve Jobs was the iPhone was already. It's not comparable in my opinion. I don't think iPhone and Tesla at Tesla's current existence is the iPhone in terms of brand. Whereas like, I mean, neither of us have Teslas.
Yeah, but it's a very different purchase. It's humongous delta in price. What a phone was. I got to experience Apple for $1,000. It's $30,000-$40,000 to go get a car.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Elon, the whole Twitter experiment was the biggest disaster for his career.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that.
And he was flippant about the way he even joked about buying it, and then he got bullied into it.
Yeah,
and he overpaid by 30+ billion.
He is a great example of how you should not listen to the internet. For example, if he had just said that on TV and a bunch of people made fun of him on Twitter, but you weren't on Twitter, you won't get irritated. It's kind of like, I remember when our videos on TikTok first started going viral and everyone just talking shit in the comments, I just stopped going to it. So I don't give a shit what anyone thinks.
Right.
So I think like the moment you let public discourse dictate any decision, and you personally, you're fucked.
And he got bullied into this fake agenda of free speech.
Yeah.
Because the last thing Twitter now is free speech.
Yeah.
Everyone just gets banned.
Yeah.
If you go against King Elon,
yeah,
you get banned. So the initial was like, the cause was like, oh, I'm doing something bigger for humanity. I'm going to buy this and protect free speech. And he's not doing that. And now it's just like, just a thorn in his side. Now you have Elizabeth Warren tweeted today. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
She just tweeted like an hour ago, like, what's Elon doing with Tesla? Is this piggy bank that he's just using and misappropriating funds? So now they're going to start investigating what he's doing with Tesla and the funds, and he's selling Tesla stock every 3 weeks to basically keep funding all this. He's got $1 billion in interest with Twitter, and now he's created so many enemies and journalists that you can hate these journalists and say they're left-wing journalists, but guess what? They're good at being journalists. They're going to keep coming after this guy. Yeah. He woke up like an entire wing of like sophisticated people that can find out if there's anything they can go after him for.
Yeah.
And it's just like waking up a sleeping giant for no reason. And he was already
I don't think the journalists matter. No one fucking cares what they have to say.
No, but if they find misappropriation of stuff, I don't know if he did anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think it'll be tough for them. I mean, think about FTX. Not one sophisticated journalist found it. It was Coindesk.
Yeah, it was private and it was based in Bahamas. This is all public.
Yeah, I mean,
and now like the Department of Justice could go back to his tweets and say, was he manipulating stock price, which he was clearly doing for years, and no one did anything about it.
Well, yeah, then you're opening a can of worms on that because a lot of people do that. I mean, he also said the price was too high. He also said, and the stocks plummeted. So it's like, you know. I think if anything, he's done a disservice to his shareholders at Tesla.
No, he definitely has. And I don't know. I think he's in a tough spot. I mean, I don't see many. You have investors now on Twitter, Tesla investors going after him.
Yeah.
Like big ones saying like, this is what happens when you have CEO asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. Look, from what I've read, Tesla's business is great still. It's really strong. So I think that's his one saving grace. As long as the brand, as for all I'm concerned, has not been impacted by any of his behavior. I see more Teslas than I ever saw before. The sales are still very strong. It's the same thing globally. When you leave America, these people that we think are tarnished, zero impact globally.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like,
and the auto market is huge. It's not just America. It is China. It is Europe. It is Canada. It is, emerging markets all over the world.
He does have this $44 billion problem on his
hand. I think he just should bankrupt it. I think if I'm him, if you're going to just ego all the way, fucking shut it down altogether. Go down with the ship.
Well, no, the creditors will take it over. He can bankrupt it, but then whoever the debt holders are take over the business.
Yeah. So the debt holders in this case, who gave him the money for the debt?
It's all the banks.
Yeah. But I would starve it so bad that it basically can't survive.
Yeah, might.
I mean, a bank's going to look at the math and be like, all right, great. I own Twitter. It's worthless. Who cares?
Yeah. But if you own Twitter at $8 billion, it's probably a decent business.
Probably not. Do you think we talked about it, advertising, for example, if it's just a Tim Cook type figure that's running Twitter, it's probably a nice advertising business. But in this climate, trying to go launch advertising, I think it should be a nonprofit.
It should be Wikipedia.
Yeah. Which, Wikipedia begs you for money every time you go on the site.
Yeah, that's what Twitter should do.
Yeah, just beg for money. You love Twitter so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a tough. It's going to be tough for everyone involved.
Yeah, no one's going to win on this
the
Twitter
users
deal.
too. I think the users just bashing him. I think he's an ego-driven person. I mean, burn it to the ground. He doesn't care at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he could definitely put the business in a terrible spot, but at some price, Twitter exists, and the creditors will figure out what that price is.
Yeah, I think it's very low.
Yeah,
if it's new money coming in,
sub $10 billion.
Yeah,
it's probably a $5-6 billion company.
Maybe. I mean, you could buy some nice things for $5-6 billion. Would you rather own the Suns or Twitter?
The Suns.
Exactly. That's what every billionaire's math's going to be. Well, who cares? Well, go on Twitter and get ridiculed for owning it, or go to the Suns and be a fucking hero. So let's move to that. That is very exciting news. For a couple of reasons. One, the new owner of the Sun is 42 years old.
Yeah.
Not familiar with him. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Matt Ishbia?
That's what it seems like. It's the first time hearing of him this morning.
First time I'm hearing NBA's youngest owner. And, owning a sports team is a tough thing to break into because it's like, it's an old boys club, right? Like you're trying to keep the, crowd who you want it to be. $4 billion for the Phoenix Suns, raised and born near Detroit, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
The crazy story is he walked on the Michigan State University basketball team.
Yeah, won a national title.
Won a national title, played in 3 consecutive Final Fours. After college, he joined his dad company, United Wholesale Mortgage, after graduating from Michigan State. The company then had 12 employees. He then succeeded his dad in 2013 as president and CEO. Firm now has 7,200 employees. And apparently he's done really good by his staff. He's been very generous with employee equity and stock options and cash bonuses. So it seems like to be a solid person. And biggest competitor is Dan Gilbert in his real life business.
And Dan Gilbert's a staple in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan, secretly, you have the Goras brothers.
Which is insane.
All 3
Yeah.
are insanely successful.
Yeah.
And they own the Pistons.
Yeah.
They're Beverly Hills based now. They own the Pistons.
Dan Gilbert.
Dan Gilbert owns the Cavs.
Magic.
Magic owns everything.
Yeah.
And this family, and his brother is a partner. I don't know if he started. It's called Shore Capital.
Yeah.
He's apparently making a massive investment in this deal.
Wow. This guy's brother.
This guy's brother, he's based in Chicago and his office in Nashville. They do, I saw like $1 to $10 million EBITDA companies across healthcare, consumer, and impressive family. I wonder, he took over the business in 2013. I wonder how much value he created from 2013 to now. He SPAC'd the company with the Goras brothers, ironically.
Oh,
so
no
the
way.
Michigan
Mafia.
Michigan Mafia. It was a $16 billion SPAC, but then it's obviously traded down like everything else has.
Wow.
So I have no idea how much money this guy has, but $4 billion purchase. If you and your brother are the ones putting up most of the money, you're not allowed to have a private equity firm to fund more than 30% in the NBA.
So you guys are
endowment.
liquid.
So you have to come up with 70% of the money.
Yeah.
So you have to come up with $3 billion.
Yeah.
Between
the first-
you, your brother, and your homies?
Is he the first former college basketball player that bought a team?
I'm sure there's some other owner that probably
Who
had some
but
back in the 60s.
I know, but he played in the Final Four.
Yeah, he won a national title.
Yeah. He's a real basketball player. And he's 42. I mean, run this team for 50 years.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It was funny. We were joking how who are these billionaires? And I guess there's just billionaires
There's
out
an
of
unlimited amount of billionaires. It's unlimited. I've never heard of this guy.
Never heard of him.
And he bought the team for $4 billion.
Yeah. It's the highest franchise transaction ever in the history of the NBA.
Wow.
I mean, Steve Ballmer is worth $100 billion, only paid $2 billion.
Yeah. He got a steal.
Yeah.
Because it's an LA team
Mm-hmm.
that's going to have its own stadium.
Yeah.
These are Phoenix Suns. No offense to them, but
it's a hot property because of it's close to Vegas, close to LA, so you can just PJ in and out.
They got good players.
Good players. Devin Booker's the staple of the franchise, and Phoenix is a desirable place for players because it's close to Vegas and LA.
Yeah,
players.
Weather's good.
Weather's good. And you can buy monstrosity.
Yeah,
$5 million. You're getting 20,000 square feet in Phoenix. Whereas in LA, $5 million, you're in a studio.
$5 million, you're living across from our office, dodging homeless people. Yeah, crazy, amazing, good. I thought that was a really good news.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to find out there's so many people with so much money that we've never heard of.
Everyone's like, oh, Jeff Bezos, oh, this, that. And then some random dude comes out of nowhere and buys a team for $4 billion.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. And what's interesting is in public, in mainstream media, the only real billionaires you ever hear about, at least what everyone talks about, are tech billionaires right this second, the last few years. A lot of the finance people have gone out of favor. We don't talk about finance. No one cares about the hedge fund guy private equity guy. Like they've been forgotten in pop culture.
Except for Ken Griffin. He stayed relevant.
Okay, well, he's
He's in
another level.
GameStop.
But like your average Wall Street guy that makes $200 million a year, which would, 20 years ago, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, that's all you would hear about. Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. Those guys are still all making the money. They're just not in vogue anymore. Like no one wants to be those people, whereas now you want to be the sexy tech founder.
Yeah, I'll say, we've obviously been around the game for now 20 plus years as adults. There's a stark difference between like thoroughbred Wall Street guys and tech founders and tech people. And the Wall Street guys, for the most part, want to stay out of the limelight.
Yeah.
You have your handful that start getting into politics and donating, so then they get exposed. But there's so many billionaires in finance that we've never heard of.
Yeah.
But the
Running
tech
some
folks,
rate in
there's auto financing loan business. I know a friend of a friend, auto financing guy is making like $600 million a year, right? Like just
That's
crazy fucking numbers.
Yeah.
And tech people in the last 10 years wanted to be famous.
They're all like Suge Knight. They all want to be in the video.
The founders, the investors,
Everybody.
the angel investors, the Series B investor. It doesn't even matter what stage you're in. You take credit for the founders, and then the founder wants to get famous.
Yeah.
And everyone's
And now they're seeing the negative impact of that, because it's great when your business is good. When it's bad, they're pointing fingers at you.
yeah, exactly. Like now he may face some blowback because mortgage business is definitely going to be worse in the next
Few
2
years.
years.
That's why he's like, I got to put my money in an asset that's going to work.
I mean, undoubtedly the mortgage business is going to decline. But
Yeah.
he criticized Dan Gilbert for laying off 2,200 people. So
Yeah, I
if he
wouldn't
has
do
to-
that.
If you have
Because
to,
you're going to have to do that soon.
you have to.
What was it? There was an interesting tweet you shared about basically home prices over the next decade are going to collapse. What was that about?
Oh yeah, this is a random Twitter thread. I don't even know how I found it, and it was someone that I saw who follows them and seemed like an interesting bio.
Yeah.
So I took it for like, oh, this might be interesting.
Big fact check.
Big fact check. So his thesis was basically, you have this generation of boomers that are 76 plus,
Yeah.
that in the next 5 to 10 years are going to pass. And you have a generation of like sub 30-year-olds that aren't having kids.
Or having kids later, yeah.
Or not, yeah.
Or maybe not having
even
kids,
having
yeah.
kids. Like there's definitely
Yeah.
a population decline in America. It's actually one thing Elon posted a ton about, which he
Yeah.
was actually right, but he was flipping about having as many kids as he can because
Yeah.
he's trying to save the world.
Shout out to Nick Cannon, a real hero.
Yeah. So there's this dynamic where you have all these people passing, and then you have not that many new buyers because young people who don't have kids aren't going to be likely to like want to buy a home in a suburb.
No.
They'll just live in an apartment or whatever and just extend their life in like this bachelor kind of young person lifestyle. And they listed like all these metros, a lot in Florida, that inevitably just by population dynamics, house prices are going to decline in these areas. So I'm not saying Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, but like these areas where you have largely older folks, there's not going to be the new buyers coming in.
Yeah.
So they're saying prices should collapse in those areas.
I think Florida will benefit from just a huge influx of people.
It's just like regentrification.
Yeah.
Like it just gets younger.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they're going to have the first group of young people like, oh, I could buy a house with a pool. That's
Yeah.
cheap.
I think
I'll
that's
just
what
live around with some 80-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened, 30 years ago in Southern California to like the Inland Empire and deeper parts of the valley where young people are like, fuck it, I want a house with a pool. I have, I'll move out there.
But the population
kids.
dynamic is over the next 10 years, there's a gap where there aren't enough young people because these people haven't decided to like live that life where you want to buy a home.
Yeah, I think that is fundamentally a very big shift.
I mean, I'll be honest, if we didn't have kids, I wouldn't live in a house. I liked building living. I felt safer.
I like a house.
You also lived in a house early on.
Yeah.
So you got that taste.
I like the privacy of a house versus, you got to see your, someone in the elevator or some shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you'll continue to. I think this shift of like not wanting to have kids that's real. Like I think a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I just see it in my own life. How many people I know, well into their 40s, who would, if they found the right person and it worked out, they'd love to have kids, but they also have no regrets if they don't have kids.
Yeah, and I would probably take it even further. When we were 25, all these young kids in the office right now, it was inevitable we were going to have kids.
Yeah.
We just didn't know when.
Yeah, you got married and had kids.
Yeah, we were like, of course we're going to have kids. If we polled, these guys, I don't think it's inevitable that they want kids. Javier, Tay, Ari, chime in.
No, I for sure want kids. I mean, definitely not in like the next 10 years, but
10 years.
I mean, that's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have kids
Yeah,
till I
that's
was,
true.
37?
Yeah.
He's 25.
But it's an inevitable like desire of yours.
yeah, no, 100%. I don't think not having kids is out of the question.
Okay. Ari?
Yeah, I want kids.
Wow,
Well,
I would
well,
take you for the one that wouldn't want kids.
I
what
want
about
kids.
you, Tay?
I do, but 37 seems like a good age to have kids. I don't want to.
So that means you're going to be 47 with no kids.
Yeah, but by the way, by the time you're of that age, like I don't think like I see mid 40-something-year-olds having kids every day in our social circle. That doesn't seem old to me, given like when you look at me, I'm 42 years old. I do not.
And you do not own the Phoenix Suns.
I do not own the Phoenix Suns, but I look at myself considerably different 20 years ago, when I saw a 42-year-old, I did not look at someone like me. From I don't know, health, lifestyle, energy, whatever it is, like things have evolved where like you see a 40-something-year-old person out and about, you're like, oh, that's normal. The 40-year-old's out getting blacked out at.
I mean, the wedding
And
I
they
was
have
at,
kids.
everyone was in their 40s, and it was the biggest rager I've been to in years.
Yeah, that would not have happened 25 years ago.
Yeah, everyone would call it in by 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'd be like, whatever.
10 p.m. probably.
Yeah, or they wouldn't have gone to the wedding.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have gone, 30 hours to go to a wedding.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't. It's very different. And I think when it comes to like the lifestyle of like a 40-something-year-old, 50-something-year-old, like I don't think. I mean, having kids at 45 is going to be the new normal, in my opinion.
So I could tell this just from our own, like, it's interesting. You think mid 40s people are just like, yeah, I want to have a kid?
I think that's a great time to have a kid.
I'm not saying it's a bad time, but I'm just saying your first kid?
Yeah, why not? If you assume you're a healthy individual and you don't do anything crazy, you're going to live to what, 90s? Your kid's 50? That's enough.
If you're 45, no.
Okay. I mean, I'm saying you could see your kids to your 40s. If you assume you live, to early 90s.
Yeah, I think here's the dynamic that I will say that I've clearly witnessed across from all different friend groups. Once you get to your late 30s, if you're not settled down, and for the most part, if you've in whatever career you're in, if you actually like kept steadily rising, you're going to be in a much different financial position than you were like 17, 18 years ago. And the desire for people to settle down once they find out all these freedoms is considerably less.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen in my friend group.
Well, especially if you have money.
Yes.
It's like,
the moment
dude,
you have money, no one wants to settle down.
Yeah. Because you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
And it becomes like fantasy land.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I'd say. I'm curious if even younger people, whatever they were in their 22, they're going to likely have more money at 38. Why would they want to have kids?
Yeah, you have to genuinely want to have it and want that experience. And it's not meant for everyone either.
No, it's not.
I saw this guy on Twitter talking about, oh, I just had my first kid. The walls are closing in. I'm freaking out. Why the fuck do you have kids?
Who said that?
Some random person on Twitter, and I saw the threads, and like people are like, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. Then you were not meant to have kids. It is fucking hard.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And so if you don't enjoy those moments that, you're allowed to complain. I'm not saying don't complain, because we all went through it. That first year is really, really difficult. But like to say that I've lost all my freedom no, it's just a choice. Like you either enjoy this new life with your child or it's not meant for you.
Right.
It's not meant for everyone. Some people,
that's what I think is going to change.
Yeah.
Meaning, this is why young people in this new generation just aren't going to have the desire to have kids. Because
I don't think it's going to be that drastic. I actually think, like we just heard three young guys who do whatever the fuck they want.
But
they do have a desire.
The drastic doesn't mean 20, 30%.
Yeah.
Even at 5 to 7%.
Yeah.
It drastically changes the population dynamics in the country and the world.
Yeah.
And all these things snowball so quickly.
That I believe is possible. If you told me it's 10% less people have kids ever, I would believe that number.
And that has so many ripple effects.
Yeah.
And it craters the economy.
Well, no, it shifts the economy. AYSO becomes a little smaller.
Yeah, no,
the parks are a little emptier. I wouldn't mind that. I went to West Hollywood Park last week. It was a zoo. It was like they were giving away free money in this park. You could not get a parking spot. The kids couldn't even share the jungle gym. Parks are nuts. We could use a
but
few
the
little
ripple
kids.
effect is like we're already in a deficit.
Yeah.
You have less taxpayers. You have less money funding all these.
Yeah, but you shut down schools.
Yeah,
Schools
shut down
become
roads.
Prisons.
Shut down roads.
Yeah, shut down roads.
No
less
more
traffic.
No more La Brea. Only La Cienega and
yeah,
Fairfax.
I mean, you get rid of a bunch of schools. You get rid of a bunch of things. All of a sudden, you have housing now. Schools have great real estate. You take a couple of these elementary schools, you got some nice high rises.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard in Cupertino, they're shutting down schools because young families can't move into the...
Well, and they don't even have teachers, right?
Yeah, but the bigger problem is like from exactly to your point, population issue is young families cannot move into Cupertino because housing is so expensive. So there's no kids.
Yeah.
All right, move on. It's actually quite hard to get gifts for guys. Even when I want to give other guys gifts, I don't know what to get people. What do you get them? Shoes,
bottle of wine,
and I don't know what kind of wine they drink. It's pretty hard. So we teamed up with the good folks over at Man Crates, and I was just on their site. It's actually pretty cool. They basically allow you to personalize gifts for the type of person they are. So if they're into cooking, if they're into drinking, if they're into golf, they're into activities. There are so many different crates, and you open these crates with basically a crowbar. It's like a whole experience. And they have all of these different kind of categories. So basically any type of guy, there's something for. And I think even my wife was like, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, I don't know. Like, I literally said, like, get me socks. I was like, I could use new socks. I don't know. I literally like, maybe it's like a guy thing, but like, do you crave anything? Do you want anything?
You need a credit card.
I do need a credit card. No one's going to give me that. I need credit card with credit. But I don't actually crave anything.
I don't crave anything.
Exactly. So I think the Man Crate thing at least is like something cool, fun, unique, based on some interest. Because if I was given something based on my interest, I think I would enjoy it. But I'm never thinking about things from that perspective. So you can head over to mancrates.com, personalize a crate. It's everything from a poker set featuring custom artwork and custom cards, and personalized dartboards that makes the perfect addition to any game room or man cave. Pretty cool. I actually picked out for myself the golf ball mini crate. So it's a little putting green.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I'm going to put that in my office.
Cool.
I'm excited about that. Yeah, incredible stuff. Check it out. You head over to mancrates.com. That's mancrates.com, and use the code GroupChat20 for 20% off. So that's mancrates.com, GroupChat20 for 20% off. Ladies, you know it's hard to shop for guys. Head over to mancrates.com. Earnings. So we have two earnings to discuss here. One is from FedEx. FedEx reported softening demand. They missed on revenue, missed on earnings. They still are profitable, but clearly they are seeing a slowdown in their business. And they're going aggressive cost cutting. They're going to cut another $1 billion of costs. So that's clearly labor. And then, I mean, the hard cost, I mean, they already have fulfillment centers. So they're not going to get rid of them. My guess is this is all labor. They're going to get the benefit of lower fuel. So that should help them. But they're clearly seeing, like, they missed by almost $1 billion on revenue expectations. This is big.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a FedEx and UPS. That's a pulse of the economy. So is Amazon and Walmart. Like, if there's fewer packages being shipped around, that means demand is softening.
Yeah.
And the one thing I wanted to add, sorry, from being in Asia, a couple of our friends who are US-based business people went to Singapore before the wedding for various meetings. And they said there was zero talk of recession. And the way we talk about doom and gloom in the US is not what's going on in that part of the world. And everyone's just like booming. And these aren't industries related to technology. It's just like kind of core industries. And I was very interested to hear that they aren't talking about it. Because if you turn on any US based news broadcast, it's recession, inflation, economy softening.
Yep.
And everything in that part of the world does not appear to be talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if that has to do with they're a little further behind from us. We opened up a little earlier from all these places. So they're still in that like arc of like, let the good times roll. Because if you asked anyone 9 months ago in this country,
or whatever, 16 months ago when we actually were opening,
even I would say the January.
Yeah, it was boom time still.
Boom. We're ripping. It's only in the last 6 months did every fucking attitude just change. And really in the last 3 months where everyone's like, oh, this shit's real.
Mm-hmm. And the US stock market, I think, is vastly underperformed other global stock markets.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Indian stock market's like actually had a great year. Well, whereas the US stock market's gotten crushed.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, we'll see. Well, FedEx is obviously.
It's a good point to your point is, are they just going to feel the pain in 10 months?
Yeah, they are.
Because we already felt the pain.
Yeah. They're still at a different part of
They're just happy to be out.
Yeah, they're happy to be at like Marquee in Singapore. Yeah. Like that's where they're at right now. We were at that. We were there last summer.
Yeah, last summer.
We were having the time of our life. America's back, roaring 20s. We went from the roaring 20s to the Great Depression in 6 months. At least the roaring 20s was like a decade
Peak
of fun.
was July 2021. Delilah opening was the peak of America.
Was that 2021 or 2020?
2021.
Okay.
Remember, we're still locked down 2020.
Oh, yeah. That was the peak.
Peak of America.
Yeah. Just
remember that weekend? Delilah Vegas was opening.
There was a fight.
There was a fight. Bieber was performing.
Chappelle.
Yeah.
That was the best of what America had to offer.
I think it might have been Conor McGregor, right?
It was one of those big.
Yeah, he fought.
Big guys.
I think Mente went to that, didn't he? Yeah. That was peak America.
That was a peak. It's been bad ever since.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Nike released their earnings. Holy shit.
Yeah.
A month ago, everyone was talking about Nike made a call around their inventory that inventories were up 43% compared to last year to $9.3 billion. And everyone was like mortified that, oh my God, this Nike is screwed. Not the case at all. They were expected to do $12.5 billion in the quarter. They came in at $3.3 billion. Their earnings, $1.3 billion, crushed whatever estimate they were. The biggest issue is that their gross margin went from 45.9% to 42.9%. But they're still so damn profitable. They saw their direct-to-consumer business were up 16%. Global digital sales were up 25%. I mean, I could live with the shitty gross margin if I was an investor, and this is what's happening.
Yeah, the stock's up in after hours, and think about this: Nike U.S. footwear is up 39%. 39%. Do you think that has to do with Kanye and Adidas, and people just aren't buying it? Because they said even into December, Nike's pacing up.
So I bet you in the hype market, there's obviously no release of new Yeezy product. So that is big. I don't know how big a Yeezy drop is. Like, is it 50,000 pairs? Is it 200,000 pairs? But yeah, maybe all of that dollars went back into buying Jordans.
Yep.
Could be. I think when you think about, it's crazy because every brand, notable brand in the footwear business is on fire. You know, like Hoka on fire, On Running on fire, Brooks Running on fire. Everything is on fire in footwear. So either Adidas is really suffering drastically in America, and obviously the Yeezy impact is huge on that's really hype culture shoes. That's not like you're running the mill, but I don't know how much of that business
And isn't this quarter still with China largely closed?
Yeah.
What happens when they open up?
I'm gonna rip.
Yeah, because where are you buying Nikes in China if you're locked down?
I have no idea. I mean, I just can't. This is such a resilient brand. Like, it's like basically, I can't spend on anything else, but I'll buy my Nikes. I mean, every single young person still walking around in white Air Force Ones.
Interesting. These guys, before the pod started, they all go to Equinox because we're paying them too much.
Yeah.
They're all Equinox members. And they said they don't see Nikes.
Yeah, look, so I think in our little bubble, when you go to the gym, you see Hoka, you see On, you see APL.
Yeah, I can't believe how much they've made inroads in like the higher end.
Yeah. Like, I don't think your trendy LA person is working out in Nikes.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it.
I see everyone wearing a non-Nike shoe. I see so many people wearing
The
Asics.
On explosion is what I see the most.
Older people, everyone's wearing On. Like 40 plus.
I bet Federer had to do a lot with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what was that connected it, but it is.
It seems like a last 2 to 3 year thing, not a like 5-year thing.
Yeah. And then obviously like from like my running, I see On and I see Hoka. I see everyone's wearing Hoka.
Yeah, crazy. And it doesn't matter because Nike's up 39% on footwear.
Now you should just shut down the running. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, so people aren't even wearing it for fitness.
No, it's just lifestyle. I would love to know how big of the business is white Air Force Ones. Like, is that $1 billion shoe?
Might be.
I mean, when I look at people's feet anywhere I go, all I see is that damn shoe and Jordan 1s. It's insane.
And then they're the only basketball option. So
No,
anyone,
I think Under Armour people still wear.
only Steph Curry's.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a basketball player, I guess on the court, you're not pulling up in.
Yeah, because think about how many kids still play youth sports basketball.
Oh, yeah.
It's millions.
Yeah.
They're wearing Nikes and Jordans probably.
Yeah, it's untouchable. And I think that the interesting thing about it is like Jordan brand still feels like it has so much more room to grow.
Yeah, oh, yeah. He's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big the business is, 5-6 billion, whatever it is. That could be a $20 billion business.
And he's just, I mean, he's still so damn relevant. He owns a NASCAR team. He owns the Hornets.
Yeah. But it's just it's the nostalgic thing. It's like cemented in culture. They're just releasing the shoes from our childhood.
It's the
and
same
it sells
shoe.
out.
Same shoe.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Something 4, something 11, something this, something 3s. It's the same shoes. Nothing
Yeah.
has even evolved. They're selling the same shit and just recoloring it. And it sells out and people line up and
I
buy
wonder
it.
if people are like buying the Giannis shoes.
Maybe in Milwaukee.
Maybe kids, sports, youth sports.
Yeah,
maybe
youth
they do.
sports, you're probably wearing Giannis shoes. And maybe those kids will grow up and I don't know. Unbelievable. All right, moving on. Good news. If you had money in FTX, they've shockingly found a shitload of money. Over $1 billion in assets and $720 million in cash.
Yeah, so this isn't like fully confirmed, but
Yeah.
it seems like this is like a very popular finance Twitter handle
Yeah.
that says this.
Watcher Guru. And it
uh,
says that FTX new management said they've located that money.
I hope they did because that means customers get money back.
Yeah. That's a
I
lot of
wonder
money.
who gets on the stack. Is it customers or investors and creditors?
I think because it's so public, it'll have to go to customers.
I hope so. They deserve it.
Yeah. They should let SBF trade it and see if he can get the back to 10 billion.
That'd be good.
I'd be like, you have 1 year. If you can get this back up to 10 billion,
You don't go to jail.
You don't go to jail. The kid's smart. He might be able to trade it
Yeah,
back.
maybe, and say like you don't have to be restricted to crypto.
Don't do crypto.
Yeah,
Just don't invest in crypto.
Yeah.
Do it in the equity market. Here's $1 billion. Get us to 10.
Hey, he's a quant guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I hope it goes to customers, but I just don't know how the legal system works with all this because it's so complicated.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much he owes to the Bahamian government. We have no idea what he just done.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's rumors that he was rushed to the hospital, and then they removed those rumors,
Yeah.
and then they said he's agreed to be extradited to the U.S., but his lawyer's like, "What are you talking about?" It's all a mess.
Yeah, it's really tough. Well, let's see. Let's see what happens. All right, moving on. So I'm blown away by the Full Send podcast. I think they've done a great job of getting guests. Like they get the most blockbuster guests.
We do.
They got OJ Simpson.
Yep.
And I saw some of the clips they asked him
I
about.
probably saw 10 to 15 like 2-minute clips.
Yes. It's obviously taking the internet by storm. I mean, like, it's OJ.
Hey, I give credit to those kids. They've got balls.
They got balls and, like, they're asking the questions.
Yeah, and they don't stop. They're relentless.
Yeah. Like, they asked about the murders and he goes, who knows? He goes, and OJ goes, somebody knows.
And they're like, are you afraid to see God?
I didn't see that.
They're
one.
just like implying, like, we know you killed him.
Yeah.
Just come clean. They were trying to get a confession.
Yeah. And then, so one of the fun quotes was, there's always been this rumor that Khloe Kardashian's father is actually OJ Simpson. That was like a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And so OJ denied it. And what his comment from the podcast was, I always thought Chris was a cute girl. She was really nice, but I was dating supermodels.
And then there was a quote of him saying, they asked him, they pressed him pretty hard. Like, what was it like in jail? Basically, like, did you get fucked with?
Yeah.
And I've never seen someone ask, someone out of prison.
Yeah.
And like they're a massive platform.
Yeah.
And he was just saying he was protected in prison because everyone was a sports fan.
What's interesting is this is why, like, in my opinion, the media is broken. Like, mainstream media is broken. If he was on NBC News, they would not ask these questions.
No.
But these are the questions we want to know the answers to.
Yeah, they were rehashing the murder.
Yes.
No NBC reporter is going to be like...
And even the question on Khloe Kardashian, that's the rumor.
Mm-hmm.
You think, like Tom Brokaw is going to ask that? It's
Yeah.
like, no. Or Oprah is going to ask it? No, the kid from Full Send are going to ask it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did a great job.
They're shockingly good.
They're
I've
really
seen a lot. I've never fully watched an episode, but I get served the clips on TikTok, and they ask good questions.
Yeah.
They're smart kids.
They're smart kids, yeah.
How old are they? Do you guys know how old they are?
Mid-20s, probably. I mean, they were in the college kind of scene just a few years ago. So
Mhm.
I would assume they're late 20s. 28.
Good for them.
Pretty cool. All right. You have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. All right, everybody. We will see you here back on Thursday. That'll be the last episode for the week as we sail into the Christmas holidays. That's it. Bye-bye.